Buenos días, mis estudiantes, y bienvenidos a Module 10B. Primero, como siempre, like always, un repaso. We'll do something a little bit different, las preguntas en español, a few slides where you can just practice making questions and coming up with responses en español. We will review la gramática útil 3 of Module 10A, possessive adjectives, my, your, his, her, etc. And we will review Explora y Exprésate. We'll take a look at un resumen, a summary of las islas del Caribe. Our materia nueva para este module 10B, la gramática útil 4, the last of the secciones de gramática, el verbo ir, plus a la and al. So the verb to go, along with the expression to the. We will continue with voces de la comunidad. We will take a look at Spanish speakers' voices from around the world and from the United States. Primero, un repaso, las preguntas en español. So let's take a look at some preguntas and respuestas. Número 1, ¿cuál es tu clase favorita? And you're going to come up with mi clase favorita es, and give me one of the classes. And then I'm going to ask you why. Generally, a class is your favorite because it's interesting. Interesante, it's fun. Es divertida, which would be agreeing with la clase. Let's see, what else could you say? No es aburrida, it is not boring. Then I will ask you, ¿dónde tienes la clase? ¿Dónde tienes la clase? Response, tengo la clase en, and you'll see the lugares en la universidad down at the bottom right. So maybe you have the clase en el centro de computación, en la universidad. And ¿a qué hora es la clase? What time is the class? La clase es a la, if it's 1 o'clock, or a las, if it's greater than 1. And don't forget to add de la mañana or de la tarde. Maybe you have a class de la noche. Muy bien, pregunta número 1. ¿Cuál es tu clase favorita? ¿Por qué? ¿Dónde tienes la clase? For Spanish class, by the way, you could say tengo la clase en línea, online, en línea. ¿A qué hora es la clase? Muy bien. Another little batch of questions about the location. I'm going to ask you, what do you do in a certain place? Por ejemplo, ¿qué haces en el gimnasio? And you'll give me a response with yo. Look at one of the verbs, the ERIR verbs on the bottom of the screen. Of course, put it in the yo form. Por ejemplo, what do you do in the gym? I run. Yo corro. So let me ask you another question. ¿Qué haces en la biblioteca? Please note, do not put that verb hacer, which means to do. Don't put that back in your response because you don't want to say, I do, I run. You just put your verb from the bottom. Okay, so ¿qué haces en la biblioteca? Maybe yo leo en la biblioteca, I read. Yo escribo en la biblioteca. ¿Qué haces en la cafetería? Yo como un sándwich, yo como una hamburguesa, yo bebo agua, I drink water, yo bebo un refresco. ¿Qué haces en la residencia estudiantil? And hopefully you answered, yo vivo en la residencia estudiantil. Muy bien, and finalmente, putting it together, now I want you to come up with creating some questions. So let's look at some examples. Let's say we pick the question word cuando. So you'll say when, and then take a look over there at the verbs, and you're going to be asking the question in the tu form. So you're going to put that tu ending, which is going to be es for the ER and IR verbs. Por ejemplo, ¿cuándo comes? When do you eat? Yo como a las 5. Here's another example. What if you wanted to use the interrogative word donde? So you can start with donde corres. Take the verb correr, to run, put the es ending. Where do you run? Yo corro en el gimnasio. So let's see, can you come up with a couple of questions? Come up with the question why. Ask somebody why they do something. Maybe, ¿por qué vendes tu carro? Why are you selling your car? ¿Por qué aprendes el español? Why are you learning Spanish? ¿Por qué recibes buenas notas? Why do you receive good grades? ¿Por qué yo estudio? Because I study. Make a question now with at what time? At what time? ¿A qué hora corres en el gimnasio? At what time do you run in the gym? Let's do a question with who. Create a question with who. Maybe you could say, ¿Quién aprende el español? Who is learning Spanish? That would be the third person singular, aprende. Who is learning Spanish? How would you say, I'm learning Spanish? Yo aprendo el español. Muy bien, moving on to un repaso, la gramática útil 3. Let's take another look at possessive adjectives. So you are already familiar, actually, with some possessive adjectives from these phrases, ¿Cuál es tu dirección? That we went over in capítulo 1, which means, which is your address? And aquí tienes mi número de teléfono. Here is my phone number. Notice that mi does not have an accent. Me with an accent means to me, the indirect object pronouns that we just reviewed in capítulo 2. Me without an accent means my. Look at some other ejemplos. ¿Cuándo es tu clase de historia? Repitan, por favor. ¿Cuándo es tu clase de historia? When is your history class? Repitan, a las 2. Y mi clase de español es a las 3. At 2, and my Spanish class is at 3. So take a look now, and what two possessive adjectives do you see in this ad for a gym? Can you guess which would be the possessive adjectives? I'll give you a clue. They are in that very first line. You probably guessed it, tus and nuestras. Your hours are our hours. Open 24 hours a day to accommodate the schedules that are most busy and for the athletes that are most dedicated, the nighttime gym. So there are a couple new possessive adjectives that we'll be getting into. The basics, possessive adjectives modify nouns in order to express possession. In other words, they tell who owns the item. So let's have a look. The role of possessive adjectives that they have in language is to describe who owns something. Possessive adjectives exist in English as well as in Spanish, and here they are: my, your, his, her, our, or their. In English, you'll notice that possessive adjectives go before the noun they modify or describe. For example, my book, your paper. And just like English, you'll be happy to know that possessive adjectives in Spanish also go before the noun they modify. For example, mi libro, tu papel, etc. My book, your paper. And like English, no articles are used. So you don't use the or a. So we say mi libro. We don't say mi el libro. That would be my the book. We can say un libro, a book. We won't say mi un libro, my a book. That doesn't make sense, just like our English. So let's begin at the beginning with me, and you're going to notice there's a second form, mis, because these have to match. You know, the agreement stuff, well, here it goes again with our possessive adjectives. So repitan, por favor, mi libro, mis libros, mis libros. Mi mesa, mi mesa, mis mesas, mis mesas. So notice that the possessive adjective my only has to agree in number. There's no change for gender. We don't say mio libro and mia mesa. So gender, masculine and feminine, are both mi, but you do change for the plural, mis libros, mis mesas. Let's take a look at what happens with tu, your. Repitan. Tu libro, tu libro, tus libros, tus libros. Tu mesa, tu mesa, tus mesas, tus mesas. So tu, and once again, no accent over that tu. Tu with an accent means you, as in the subject pronoun, you are tall. Tu eres alto would be an accented tu. So once again, just like with my, with me, it is only agreeing and changing to be plural. So masculine and singular are both, masculine and feminine are both tu, but the plural has the s. Let's take a look at how you say his, or her, or your. Repitan. Su libro, su libro, sus libros, sus libros. Su mesa, su mesa, sus mesas, sus mesas. So far we're seeing the same pattern with my, your, and his, her, your formal, that the masculine and feminine form are the same, and the only agreement we have is for the plural. You may be asking, well, that's kind of unusual though, because, how am I going to know that this means his, her, or your formal? It's kind of like when we use the indirect object pronoun lay, and lay could mean to him, to her, or to you formal. You probably recall a clarifying phrase sometimes being needed to be used, and we will get into that at a later time. Let's move on. So how do we say our? Repitan, por favor. Nuestro libro, nuestro libro, nuestros libros, nuestros libros. Nuestra mesa, nuestra mesa, nuestras mesas, nuestras mesas. So notice now, kind of like with our adjectives, alto, bajo, there are 4 different ways, because there's agreement that has to be masculine, feminine, nuestro libro, nuestra mesa, and agreement with plural, nuestros libros, nuestras mesas. So you will see 4 forms that mean our. Vuestro is going to follow the same pattern. Repitan. Vuestro libro, vuestro libro, vuestros libros, vuestros libros. Vuestra mesa, vuestra mesa, vuestras mesas, vuestras mesas. So here again we see the agreement, masculine, feminine, also plural, masculine and plural, feminine, 4 different versions. So to confuse you even more, how do you say their or y'all's? Well, here we go. Repitan. Su libro, su libro, sus libros, sus libros. Su mesa, su mesa, sus mesas, sus mesas. So this is just really to add to the confusion in the mix, isn't it? You are finding out that su and sus can mean his, her, your formal, their, or y'all's. So naturally, we need a little bit more explanation here. So let's take one more look at the simple possessive adjectives in Spanish. Repitan. Mi, mis, tú, tus, su, sus, nuestro, nuestra, nuestros, nuestras, vuestro, vuestra, vuestros, vuestras, su, sus. Keep in mind that the subject pronoun tu with an accent is different from the possessive adjective tú without an accent. Tú with an accent means you. You are tall. Tú eres alto. Tú without an accent means your. Tu libro, your book. Take a look. Tú trabajas los lunes, ¿verdad? You work Mondays, right? Tu libro está en mi casa. Your book is in my house. Sound the same when spoken, much different when written. So you have to have the unwritten accent to mean your. Now notice that all possessive adjectives change to reflect number. Mi clase, mis clases, nuestro compañero de cuarto, nuestros compañeros de cuarto. Notice that they are agreeing with what comes after them. Okay, they have to match up with what comes after them. Mi, tú, and su do not change to reflect gender, but nuestro and vuestro do change to reflect gender. Nuestro libro, nuestros amigos, vuestras clases, but mi libro, mi clase. Unlike other adjectives which often go after the noun they modify, simple possessive adjectives always go before the noun. Su profesora, nuestras amigas. So a simple recap here. Possessive adjectives agree with the noun that is possessed, not with the possessor. They're going to match up with what comes after them. Tu libro, tus libros. Mi, tu, and su change to reflect the number of the noun they modify. Mi padre, mis padres. Tu papel, tus papeles. Su amigo, sus amigos. Possessive adjectives are always placed before the noun they modify. Sus cuadernos. And nuestro and vuestro change to reflect number and gender of the noun they modify. Nuestra mesa, nuestros libros. So let's pause to do un poco de práctica. See if you can come up with the possessive adjective. Remember, if the word following it is plural, the possessive adjective has to have an S. They either both do not have an S or they both have an S. So mi libro, no S on either. Mis libros, S on both. So they have to be similar. So here's the chart. Mi, mis, tu, tus, sus, sus. Nuestro, four versions of nuestro and sus, sus. So the first one, no comprendo a padres. You're trying to say, I don't understand my parents. So what form would you put in for my in front of padres? Mis. Even though one person is talking, the mi has to agree with padres, mis padres. How about this? ¿Tienes something notas? Do you have your grades? Remember, it has to agree with notas. Tus. ¿Tienes tus notas? Even though it's just one person you're talking to, the your has to agree with notas, so they both have S. How about this one? Escribimos something tarea. We are writing our homework. Now, even though the subject is we, is plural, what does the our have to agree with? The person speaking or the thing being possessed? Nuestra, we have our homework. Nuestra and tarea, neither one has an S. That's how it has to be. Look at that noun. If it doesn't have an S, your possessive adjective will not have an S. If it has an S, your possessive adjective has to have S. Let's continue. Ella lee something papeles. She is reading her papers. Sus papeles. She is reading her papers. Papeles has an S. Possessive adjective her has an S. Número 5. Ellos abren something libros. They are opening their books. Sus libros, both having an S. And the last one, aquí tienes something número. Here it is. Here you have something number. Whose phone number? It could be, here's my phone number. Could be, here is her phone number. Aquí tienes su número. It could be, here is our number. Aquí tienes nuestro número. Depends on what you mean. Un poco más práctica. See if you can figure these out. 1. A Juan le gusta pintar. Toda something familia es artística. Painting is pleasing to him, to Juan. All of his family is artistic. ¿Cómo se dice his? Toda su familia es artística. Número 2, Alberto, tú tienes muchos libros. Albert, you have a lot of books. ¿Por qué no tienes something mochila hoy? Why don't you have something backpack today? You have a lot of books. Why don't you have your backpack today? ¿Cómo se dice your? Tú, the familiar, because you're speaking to him in a familiar voice, so you would not say su. That would be the formal your. Número 3, something madre es fantástica. Ella siempre escucha problemas y me da consejos. My mother's fantastic. She always listens to my problems and gives me advice. The first one, mi madre es fantástica. And the second one, she always listens to my problems. Problems is plural. You got it. Mis problemas. And finalmente, a Teresa y a mí nos gusta estudiar cálculo, pero tareas son difíciles. So to study calculus is pleasing to me and to Teresa, but our homeworks are difficult. Which form of our? Look at tareas. Is it masculine or feminine? Is it singular or plural? You got it. Nuestras tareas. Now this actividad is going to be in your tarea. What you're going to see is the model. You will see the object. You will see the person who's going to be owning it. And you need to say if it's singular, it is. You're going to start the sentence with it is, es, my laptop. Okay, if it's a singular item, you start with es, then your possessive adjective to go with the person, and then the object. If it's plural, and here again we have another person, it's going to be you now who is owning this. If it's plural, you start with son, they are your classes. But remember, a plural noun is going to need a plural possessive adjective, son tus clases. Let's look at número uno. Let's do this one together. Apuntes, yo. So they are notes that belong to I. So como se dice they are my notes? They are, son. Apuntes is plural. How would you say my in a plural way? Son mis apuntes. For homework, because it's singular, es mi tarea. Try número 2. They are possessed by Maria. They are bolígrafos. So you're going to say they are her pens. And then you're going to say it is her pencil. Think about it for a minute. Son sus bolígrafos. S and S on sus and bolígrafos. Es su lápiz. No S on either su or lápiz. Número 3. Calculadoras. We are the owners of the calculators, and we are the owner of the drawing. Think about it for unos minutos, minutes, or seconds rather, segundos. Son nuestras calculadoras. Es nuestro dibujo. And remember, nuestro can match in 4 different ways, masculine, feminine, and the plurals. 4. You are the owner of the dictionary. You are the owner of the grades. Es tu diccionario, singular. Son tus notas, plurals. Número 5. The professor is the owner of the books. The professor is the owner of the chalk. Son sus libros. Es su tiza. And the last one, you all are the owners of the computer. You all are the owners of the pictures. Es su computadora. Son sus fotos. So a bit ago, we thought about the fact that su is confusing. So you come into the room, there's a big pile of money there, and I say to you, I look straight at you and I say, Es su dinero. Oh, you are hoping that I just said it is your formal money. Well, I really meant to say es su dinero. It's her money. Oh, no, I meant to say es su dinero. It's their money. How in the world are you going to figure out what su means? Well, that's where they comes in. Let's take a look. When you use su, which can mean your formal, his, her, its, or theirs, or y'all's, the context will usually clarify who is meant, who owns it. If not, you can follow up with they plus the name. Por ejemplo, es su libro. Well, this can be confusing. Why? Because the book could be his book, it's her book, it's your book, formal, it's their book, it's y'all's book. So how in the world do we clarify? We ask the question of whom it belongs. And you may remember this from the little section there of question words, interrogatives that we started out with in our review. For example, es el libro de quién? Somebody says, es su libro. And you say, es el libro de quién? Or es de quién? If they're books, son sus libros. Son los libros de quiénes? They're the books of whom? And you would answer, es de la profesora. Es el libro de la profesora. It's the professor's. But remember, there aren't any apostrophe S's in Spanish, so we have to bring in the use of, de. A little bit more of an explanation here, because this is another one of those confusing topics for us. Possessives, apostrophe S apostrophe, do not exist in Spanish. For example, you cannot say Jim's book. You cannot say Jim's libro, Pedro's libros. Libro, they don't have the apostrophe S. In Spanish, the de construction is used instead. So take a look. Jim's book does not exist. Jim's libro, we have to say el libro de Jim, the book of Jim. The student's class doesn't exist. Los estudiantes clase, with an apostrophe, does not exist. We have to say la clase de los estudiantes. Now, something interesting is going to happen. A contraction happens when we have de and el together. It becomes del. For example, el libro del profesor. Would it be horrible if you said el libro de el profesor? No, it just is a little cumbersome. It's like saying I do not go to the store. We usually say I don't go to the store. So de and el will contract. You've already learned to express possession using de plus a noun. For example, you may have seen es la computadora portátil de la profesora. It's a professor's laptop. But keep in mind, in Spanish, you can't say or write es la profesora's computadora. Why? Because that doesn't exist. So please don't use it. Despite my saying this to you, I bet you any money when I get some writing down the road, I will see an apostrophe S. I want you to say over and over and over to yourself, I can't use it. It doesn't exist. So we need a little bit of practice here. Juanita's mother does not exist in Spanish. What do you have to say instead? La madre de Juanita. The girl's backpacks doesn't exist, the apostrophe S or the S apostrophe. How do you get that across in Spanish? Las mochilas, start with the object, las mochilas de, and then the owner, las mochilas de las chicas, las mochilas de las niñas. The man's brother, apostrophe S doesn't exist. How will you get that across in Spanish? Start with the brother of the man. El hermano de el hombre, and if you can remember it, de and el contract and become del. Un poco más práctica. Now we're going to mix the possessive adjectives with it. Es el padre de Juan. It's Juan's father, the father of Juan. So how am I going to say it's his father? Es su padre. So you come into the room and somebody says, es su padre. You don't know whose father it is, so you would ask the question, el padre de quién? And then you would hear that first sentence. Oh, el padre de Juan. Next one. Son los exámenes de los estudiantes. They're the students' exams. They're the exams of the students. How would I say they are their exams? Son sus exámenes. You come into the room and I say son sus exámenes. You don't know who those exams belong to, so you might ask the question, los exámenes de quiénes, because you heard the plural sus or de quién. Los exámenes de quién or de quiénes. Número 3, es la hermana de Carlos y de mí. The sister of Carlos and of me. So in other words, she's our sister. How would you say that? Es nuestra hermana, la hermana de Carlos y de mí. Y finalmente, es la profesora de ti. It is your teacher. It is the teacher of you. ¿Cómo se dice? It's your teacher, familiar. Es tu profesora. And you will have oportunidades to work with the possessive adjectives in your tarea. On now to un resumen, a summary of las tres islas del Caribe. As we go through the review of las tres islas del Caribe, be looking for this información. Número uno, what is the Spanish name of the area in which these three countries are located? Which of the three countries is closest to the United States? Which two countries are islands and which one shares an island with another country? Why are Puerto Ricans called Boricuas? Which island citizens are also American citizens? And which country boasts the first city in the New World? And then also, el tema de la educación, the theme of education, what was the objective of Cuba's Campaña Nacional de Alfabetización? Número dos, why are Boricuas bilingual? And tres, what were the first 4 academic departments established in the oldest university of the New World? So be thinking about and looking for that information as we go through un repaso rápido. We begin capítulo 3 with un viaje, a trip por Cuba, Puerto Rico y la República Dominicana. If you notice on the map of El Mundo, you'll see los Estados Unidos, and we'll see which of those islas is the closest to los Estados Unidos. Estos tres países están situados en el Mar Caribe. La República Dominicana comparte la isla La Española con Haití. So the entire island is called Hispaniola. Española or Hispaniola, you'll see it with an H, and the Dominican Republic is to the right. También Puerto Rico es la isla pequeña y Cuba es la isla la más grande y la más cerca de, closest to, los Estados Unidos. You see a map that's a little bit closer and you will see Cuba and you'll see just the tip of Florida there en el mapa. Información en general, officially known as the República de Cuba, the capital is La Habana. And Havana was fundado, that little F means founded, fundado, en 1515, capital de Cuba. You also notice the number of habitantes, abbreviated HAB, to otras ciudades importantes, Santiago and Camagüey. The moneda is the peso cubano, and the idioma, no surprise, is español oficialmente. A tener en cuenta, some things to keep in mind. La población de la isla de Cuba es una mezcla de los indígenas, taínos, indigenous, descendientes de esclavos africanos y europeos, mezcla que produce una cultura única. So the mixture of African and European cultures produces an interesting, unique mixture in the population of Cuba. También hay una población significativa de ascendencia china, a significant amount of inhabitants of descendancy of Chinese, resultado de la inmigración china a Norteamérica y al Caribe durante el siglo XIX. So because of that immigration, Chinese immigration in North America and Caribbean during the 19th century, 1800s, we have that mixture in the population as well. Also, también Raúl Castro, hermano de Fidel, who is now no longer living. Raúl Castro, the hermano, es el actual presidente de Cuba. La educación para todos. Cuba se distingue por tener uno de los mejores sistemas de educación del mundo. One of the best educational systems in the world. Desde la Revolución Cubana en 1959, so from the Cuban Revolution in 1959, el sistema de educación ha sido priority del gobierno cubano, empezando con la campaña nacional de alfabetización en Cuba en 1960. So it began with the literacy campaign of 1960. El objetivo de la campaña fue eliminar el analfabetismo. So the goal was, the campaign was to eliminate illiteracy, y llevar maestros y escuelas a todas las regiones del país, to bring teachers and schools to all the regions of the country. And moving on now to Puerto Rico. Información general. The nombre oficial es Estado Libre Asociado de Puerto Rico. Capital San Juan. Otras ciudades importantes, Ponce and Caguas are some other important cities. The moneda is the dólar estadounidense. ¿Por qué? Because this is the island that is part of los Estados Unidos. Idiomas español y también inglés. Dos idiomas oficiales. A tener en cuenta, have this in mind, los puertorriqueños también son conocidos como, they're also known as, boricuas, ya que antes de la llegada de los europeos en 1493, la isla se llamaba Borinquen. So the Puerto Ricans are also known as boricuas, because before the arrival of the Europeans in 1493, the island was called Borinquen. So that name still holds to this day. Los puertorriqueños son ciudadanos estadounidenses, pero no votan en las elecciones de Estados Unidos. So although Puerto Ricans are citizens of the U.S., they don't vote in U.S. elections. La educación bilingüe. La educación en Puerto Rico está garantizada constitucionalmente y es gratuita hasta el nivel secundario. So education in Puerto Rico is guaranteed by the Constitution, and it's free until the secondary level. El español es el idioma de instrucción, pero los estudiantes toman clases de inglés en todos los grados. So Spanish is the official language of instruction, but students take English classes in all levels, all grades. Los estudios universitarios son iguales al sistema estadounidense. El bachillerato, la maestría y finalmente el doctorado. Ser boricua es ser bilingüe. So the degrees are the same as the U.S. system, and it finally says to be boricua is to be bilingual. So if you live in Puerto Rico, you are bilingual. Información general de la República Dominicana. That's the nombre oficial. Población más de 9 millones de personas. Capital se llama Santo Domingo. Fundado en 1492. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and that is where he landed. Santo Domingo, capital de Cuba. Habitantes, population, inhabitants, más de 2 millones. Over 2 million. Otras ciudades importantes. Santiago de los Caballeros. Caballeros, by the way, means gentlemen. Y La Romana. The moneda is the peso dominicano. Idiomas, español es el idioma oficial. A tener en cuenta, worth knowing, la isla que comparten la República Dominicana y Haití se llama la Hispaniola. estuvo bajo control español hasta 1697, cuando la parte oeste pasó a ser territorio francés. So the island that the Dominican Republic and Haiti share is called La Hispaniola. So the whole island has a name, and then there are two separate parts, two separate countries. It was under the Spanish control until 1697, when the western part was taken to be a territory of France. Santo Domingo es la primera ciudad del Nuevo Mundo. Santo Domingo is the first city of the New World. En esta ciudad capital se construyeron la primera catedral, el primer hospital y la primera universidad del Nuevo Mundo. So in this city capital, they constructed the first cathedral, the first hospital, and the first university in the New World. Un poco de información de la universidad más antigua del Nuevo Mundo, the oldest university in the New World, la Universidad Santo Tomás de Aquino, ahora conocida como la Universidad Autónoma de Santo Domingo, es considerada la universidad más antigua del Nuevo Mundo. Fundada en 1538, unos 100 años antes que Harvard, en 1636 y Yale en 1701, empezó con 4 facultades: medicina, derecho, tecnología y artes. ¿Cómo han cambiado los tiempos? How the times have changed. Hoy día, la universidad ofrece más especialidades, entre ellas ingeniería, arquitectura, economía e informática, por supuesto. So now there are many more specialties on the campus, specializations, among them engineering, architecture, economics, and computers, of course. So you just had your viaje por Cuba, Puerto Rico y la República Dominicana. ¿Qué sabes? What do you know? Di si las siguientes oraciones son ciertas o falsas. Say if the following sentences are true or false. Número 1. Estos 3 países están en el mar Caribe. ¿Cierto o falso? Cierto. The 3 islands are, in fact, in the Caribbean Sea. Número 2. La República Dominicana tiene casi 2 veces el tamaño de Puerto Rico. Of course, that is falso. The island of the Dominican Republic is almost 2 times the size of New Hampshire, not Puerto Rico. Y número 3, no hay una zona vieja en Cuba. Also, there certainly is an old zone in Cuba. It is Old Havana, La Vieja Habana. Y en resumen, in summary, what is the Spanish name of the area in which these 3 countries are located? I'll give you a clue. It's a body of water. En español, el Mar Caribe, the Caribbean or Caribbean Sea. Número 2, which of the 3 countries is closest to los Estados Unidos? Cuba. Número 3, which 2 countries are islands, and which one shares an island that has a different name, or the entire island, with another country? The 2 that are islands are Cuba and Puerto Rico, and La República Dominicana shares Hispaniola with Haiti. So the island is Hispaniola or Española, Dominican Republic on one side to the east, and Haiti to the west. Número 4, until 1493, why are Puerto Ricans called Boricuas? Because until 1493, the island was called Borinquen. Número 5, which island citizens are also American citizens? Puerto Ricans. And finalmente, número 6, which country boasts the first city in the New World? And that would be the Dominican Republic, and the city is Santo Domingo. En cuanto al tema de la educación, what was the objective of Cuba's Campaña Nacional de alfabetización. I'll give you a clue. That means the illiteracy campaign. So, of course, one of the objectives was to promote literacy, and the other was to get teachers in schools in all parts of the country of Cuba. Número dos, why are Boricuas bilingual? Because they are required to take English in every grade. So we have a bilingual country there. And número tres, what were the first 4 academic departments established in the oldest university of the New World? Maybe you remember a couple. Medicine, law, theology, or religion, and arts. Bien, on we go to our materia nueva, la gramática útil 4, el verbo ir. We're going to look at the verb to go, and then we will look at how to say to the, because generally you're saying I'm going to the, so we'll also tag that part onto el verbo ir. Indicating destination and future plans, the verb. You can use the Spanish verb ir to say where you and others are going. You can also use it to say what you and others are going to do in the near future. Let's take a look at those examples. Vamos a la biblioteca mañana. This is expressing where you or others are going. We are going to the library tomorrow. To express something you're doing in the future, vamos a estudiar. We are going to study. With regard to this concept of stating a future plan, you've already used similar expressions, necesitar plus an infinitive. For example, yo necesito estudiar, I need to study. Tener que plus an infinitive. Por ejemplo, yo tengo que estudiar, I have to study. Or dejar de, yo dejo de estudiar, I just stopped studying. So now it's another one. We're going to work on conjugating the verb ir to say that you are going to do an activity. Remember that second activity tags along in the infinitive, non-conjugated to form of the verb. Vamos a estudiar, the second verb is the infinitive, not conjugated. Just ir is conjugated. And now, como formarlo? A few things about forming our verb ir. First of all, lo básico, an irregular verb is one that does not follow the normal rules. So, for example, we've already worked with tener. It is very unique in how that verb conjugates. Ser is completely unique. Soy, eres, es. The verb ir, there is no other verb in the Spanish language that conjugates like the verb ir. So you just memorize the forms, and we'll be getting into that in a moment. The other piece that we're going to add on to with the verb ir is a preposition. So prepositions, for example, you'll see in, under, after, for, to. They are all English prepositions. They link nouns, pronouns, or noun phrases in the rest of the sentence. And we're going to use the preposition to, in this case with the verb ir, to express location. We've already used to in a time sequence. A qué hora, at what time, we're using at. So we're going to be linking that together in this lesson. Okay, one step at a time. Now you know the conjugations of the verb ir. And we need to start to build upon that. So let's add the preposition a. You use the preposition a with the verb ir to say to where you are going. Por ejemplo, voy a la cafetería. I am going to the cafeteria. The preposition a means to. So you use the construction ir, add a, and add the place to talk about where you or others are going. You use a la when the place is feminine. So repitan por favor, voy a la universidad. Yo voy a la universidad. ¿Qué significa en inglés? In English, it means I am going to the university, I do go to the university, or just I go to the university. University, universidad is feminine, so it is a la. Repitan. Tú vas a la cafetería. Tú vas a la cafetería. ¿Qué significa en inglés? You go to the cafeteria, you are going to the cafeteria, you do go to the cafeteria. Remember, those words am, is, are, do, does are built into the translation. So even though it's not physically in the sentence, you can add them in the translation. So cafeteria is feminine, so it's a la cafeteria. Repitan, por favor, ella va a la residencia estudiantil. Ella va a la residencia estudiantil. ¿Qué significa en inglés? She is going to the student residence, which is feminine, so you use a la. Now let's take a look at what happens when the place is masculine. When the place is masculine, something a little different takes place. When a joins with el, it contracts to al. So you use al when the place is masculine. So repitan, por favor, voy al café. Voy al café. I'm going to the cafe. Cafe is masculine. They don't say a el. It wouldn't be horrible if you did. It would just be a little cumbersome. Voy al café is a little cumbersome, so they say al. Repitan, por favor. Vas al centro de comunicaciones. You are going to the communication center. Centro is masculine. A el contracts. Al. And finalmente repitan, va al restaurante. So he or she, whoever the subject is going to the restaurant, contracted. So a bit of a review. When you use the preposition a plus el, it contracts to al, to the. Looks like this. Similarly, this happens when de and el contract. So of the or from the. Now note that only a and de will contract with the definite article el. They do not contract when the subject pronoun el with an accent is used. So look at what I mean here. El chico tiene libros. That's the definite article the. Son los libros de él. They are the books of him, he. So that el is a subject pronoun he, so there is no contraction. But then look, son los libros del chico, of the boy, and that will contract. Similarly, when there's a formal name involved, like El Salvador, it will not contract. Look at that last sentence there. Yo soy de El Salvador. So it wouldn't be yo soy del Salvador, no contraction with a formal. So I think you could use a little bit of práctica here, right where people are going. So, ¿cómo se dice I am going to the class? Notice your forms of the conjugations to the right. I go to the class. Yo voy, you don't need to use yo, it's a given that voy is only used with yo. Voy a la clase, because clase is feminine. So, ¿cómo se dice are you, singular informal tú, are you going to the cafe? Vas al café, you don't need the tú, it's a given, vas is only used with tú. Número 3, Arturo is going to the library, biblioteca. Arturo va a la biblioteca because biblioteca is feminine. 4. The girls are going to the restaurant. Restaurante, las chicas. Las chicas van al restaurante. 5. My friend and I are going to the bookstore, librería. Mi amigo y yo vamos, because that's a nosotros form is if yo is involved and I, a la librería, because it's feminine. And número 6. Are y'all going to the gym? You all go to the gym? Ustedes? Gimnasio? Ustedes van al gimnasio? Moving on, let's look at the other way that ir is used, indicating future plans. When you want to use the verb ir to say what you are going to do, you use ir plus a plus an infinitive. And we saw this before with necesitar a, dejar, de, etc. So let's look. Repitan, vamos a comer a las 5 hoy. Vamos a comer a las 5 hoy. Notice the verb ir is conjugated, followed by a, and then the verb, the second activity in the infinitive non-conjugated form. Repitan, después vamos a ir al concierto. Después vamos a ir al concierto. It's always a little interesting when ir is used twice, so we are going to go. So the first form, the first ir is conjugated, vamos, then you use a, and then you use the infinitive form of the verb ir. Let's take a look at how this works. Just get a feel for it. Repitan, por favor. Yo voy a vender mi libro. I'm going to sell my book. Repitan. Tú vas a comer una pizza. You are going to eat a pizza. Repitan. Ella va a beber un refresco. She is going to drink a soft drink. Repitan, él y yo vamos a abrir la puerta. He and I are going to open the door. Repitan, las chicas van a vivir en Buffalo. The girls are going to live in Buffalo. If you were to say that each of these subjects were actually doing the activity, you would say, yo vendo mi libro, tú comes una pizza, ella bebes un refresco, él y yo abrimos la puerta, las chicas viven en Buffalo. So if they were doing the activity right now, you would just conjugate that second verb. If they're going to do the activity, that second verb tags along in the infinitive, and you conjugate the form of go. Ir. Let's take a little look at another ejemplo. Número 1. Write what each subject is going to do based on the information. So, 1. Mis amigos y yo estamos en el gimnasio. We're in the gym. ¿Cómo se dice we're going to run? Vamos a correr. Second verb tags along in the infinitive non-conjugated form ending in er. Número 2. Yo necesito una buena nota para el examen. I need a good grade for the exam. I'm going to study. ¿Cómo se dice I'm going to study? Voy a estudiar. 3. Los estudiantes van a España en septiembre. Nice. The students are going to Spain in September. They're going to learn Spanish. ¿Cómo se dice? Van a aprender español. Muy bien. Y 4. Cristina tiene hambre. Cristina is hungry. She is going to eat. Va a comer. Now, this actividad is going to be one of your practices, so let's take a look at how this gets put together. You're going to say what the people indicated plan to do and where they're going to do it. So look at the modelo. You'll see yo. You'll see the actividad estudiar. You'll see the place biblioteca. So the first thing you're going to say is, I'm going to study. Voy a estudiar. The second, where you're going to go, voy a la biblioteca. Número uno. We have Pedro y Rafael. The activity is levantar pesas, and the place is gimnasio. So, ¿cómo se dice they are going to lift weights? Van a levantar pesas. ¿Cómo se dice they're going to the gym? Gimnasio is masculine. Van al gimnasio. Dos. Mi compañero de cuarto y yo. Actividad correr. The lugar is parque. ¿Cómo se dice we're going to run? Vamos a correr. ¿Cómo se dice we're going to the park? Parque is masculine. Vamos al parque. Número 3. Fabiola is going to escuchar los CDs. And he's going to lugar centro de comunicaciones. ¿Cómo se dice he's going to listen to CDs? Va a escuchar los CDs. ¿Cómo se dice he's going to the communication center? Masculine. Va al centro de comunicaciones. Número 5. The subject is tú. Actividad comprar libros. Lugar librería. ¿Cómo se dice you are going to buy books? Vas a comprar libros. ¿Cómo se dice you're going to the bookstore? Librería. Feminine. Vas a la librería. And finalmente, Lourdes, ella, actividad descansar, lugar residencia estudiantil. ¿Cómo se dice she's going to rest? Va a descansar. ¿Cómo se dice she's going to the residence, student residence, feminine? Va a la residencia estudiantil. On we go to la cultura, voces de la comunidad, voices of the Spanish world and of the United States. The video you're going to be watching for Capítulo 3, the speakers talk about their studies and pastimes. So first I want you to look at the statements, and then we're going to take a look at the script, and you will answer if it's cierto or falso. And you also watch the video for your tarea. Número 1. Jessica estudia Administración de Empresas. 2. Or Sandra. 2. Jessica estudia Química. 3. A Javier le gusta ver películas. 4. A Dairamir le gusta bailar salsa con sus amigos. 5. Durante los fines de semana, ella va al parque. Y 6. Durante los fines de semana, Inés visita a su familia. Let's take a look at the diálogo. Javier estudió film. Sandra, estoy estudiando Administración de Empresas. Dairamir estudió piano y composición en Berkeley. Jessica estudió Ingeniería Mecánica con sostenibilidad. So those were the answers of ¿qué estudias en la universidad? Then there's una sección de video. ¿Qué haces entre semana? What do you do weekdays? Rosy, entre semana yo trabajo en mi casa. Javier, siempre hago algo con film. O veo películas, miro películas. O hago películas, I make películas. Ella, en la semana trabajo jornada parcial y paso mucho tiempo con mi hija, my daughter, en el tiempo libre, outside in the open air. Then I'm not sure who the woman is who's talking, who says, entre semana trabajo. Sandra continues, durante la semana estudio. Dairamir, yo estudio todo el día y después salgo en la noche, I go out en la noche a bailar salsa con mis amigos. Liana, entre semana yo ensayo mucho para todos los eventos. I practice y espectáculos, for spectacles and for events, que yo hago como bailarina y cantante. So she's a dancer and singer, so she's practicing. rehearsing. Jessica, bueno, pues estudio mucho, bailo en prácticas de organizaciones y voy al cine a veces, to the movies. Y finalmente, ¿qué haces durante los fines de semana? Rosy, los fines de semana a veces hago conciertos, I do concerts, y a veces salgo con mi familia, I go out. Javier, en los fines de semana me relajo, descanso, he relaxes. Me gusta ir a bailar o estar con amistades, con amigos. No hacer cosas de la escuela. Nice, right? Nothing about school on the fines de semana. Ella, durante los fines de semana me gusta pasar el tiempo con mi familia, ir al cine, movies, ir al parque, ir a comer, actividades fuera de la casa, activities outside of the house. And I'm not sure once again who that woman is, but it's not important for your answers. Me gusta mucho bailar, me gusta leer, me gusta actuar, act, y especialmente bailar la salsa en los clubs. Sandra, los fines de semana me gusta ir al cine, me gusta ir al gimnasio, me gusta pasar tiempo con mi familia y mis amistades, amigos. Jessica, los fines de semana me gusta salir, to go out, a bailar a fiestas, parties. Me gusta ir al cine, me gusta descansar y relajarme. Y finalmente, Dai Ramir, en los fines de semana me encanta pasar tiempo con mi familia y ver videos en YouTube. So, what do you think? Número 1. Sandra estudia administración de empresas. Cierto. 2. Jessica estudia química. Falso. Número 3. A Javier le gusta ver películas. Cierto, he's very involved with movies. 4. A Dai Ramir le gusta bailar salsa con sus amigos. Cierto. 5. Durante los fines de semana, ella va al parque. Cierto, she talked about going to the park. Y 6. Durante los fines de semana, Inés visita a su familia. And that was falso. Other people were talking about visiting family, not Inés. So, finalmente, Voces de Estados Unidos, Sonia Sotomayor, jueza Judge Corte Suprema de Estados Unidos. And here's what she says, a quote from Sonia Sotomayor. Creo que si las caras de los jueces no reflejan la población a la que sirven, so the faces of the judges don't reflect the population that they serve, la gente, the people, va a tener menos confianza en el sistema de justicia. So the people will have less confidence in the justice system. Es importante que todos los grupos de Estados Unidos estén representados en la función más importante de la sociedad. Very important that all the groups of the United States are represented by the function that's the most important in society, justice. So just read this along with me. I won't translate it. See if you can get the general idea. Let's read together. Sonia Sotomayor, la primera persona de ascendencia hispana en la Corte Suprema de los Estados Unidos, es la personificación del sueño americano. Nacido en el Bronx, de padres puertorriqueños, la jueza es conocida por su inteligencia, capacidad de trabajo y respeto por sus raíces. 2 tragedias en su niñez forman su carácter: la muerte de su padre a los 9 años y la diabetes juvenil. Con la ayuda de su madre, Sotomayor triunfa sobre estas adversidades. Asiste a Princeton y después a la Escuela de Derecho de Yale. Sin embargo, la jueza nunca olvida sus raíces. Sus experiencias como empleada en una dulcería y una tienda de ropa y como camarera le dan una especial sensibilidad hacia las necesidades de las personas comunes. Very down-to-earth person. ¿Y tú? Are you interested in working in the public sector? Why or why not? Muy bien, mis estudiantes, el fin de Module 10B. Buen trabajo y hasta pronto.